Still, third time is a charm. So you just bought your first drone, or you're bringing your drone into Norway for the first time. I've made a video for you. I've gathered basically everything you'll need to know, from insurance to general rules about where to fly, regarding drones under 250 grams. And the reason for this is because I've spent like 2 months gathering this information myself and realized it's quite hard to attain, especially if you're a foreigner, as most of our information is in Norwegian. And for some reason, all the rules are spread out on different sites and news articles. So I made a quick summary. Before we start, it's important to note that you should really research this yourself before bringing your drone, because I'm not a reliable source. And then this is also, as I said before, only regarding drones under 250 grams. If you have something bigger, this might apply to you. I have some resources at the end that might be helpful, like maps and stuff. But go somewhere else. Thank you, let's go. One of the most important things you need before flying your drone in Norway is to get your liability insurance. It's an insurance that covers basically any damages you do to third-party people and property. Quite easy to attain. Most insurance companies doesn't have this, so you'll have to go to a third-party company, which I did, or just a drone insurance company. It cost me about $140 for a year, which is fairly reasonable and very illegal not to have. So just get that straight before you get here. It usually takes more than a day to attain, so you should be doing this in advance of flying in Norway. But it's quite simple. And the second most important thing of the two important things is to register as a drone pilot at flydrone.no, which is a government-run website where you just register yourself as a drone pilot. It's basically like any other social media, except foreigners need an insurance number, or at least attain an insurance number within a certain amount of time. I'm not quite sure about that, but do your own research. And it costs you about $20 or 180 kroners, and it's a yearly subscription as well. When you've done that, you'll get a drone pilot ID, which is this number right here, which is a very long, just random letters and numbers which identify you, and it has to be very visible on the drone. So you can't put it in the battery compartment or write in very ugly writing, because this is one of the two things I imagine police or the government would look for if they're ever going to stop you. So just get these two things straight. Have your liability insurance and your drone pilot ID with you, and you'll be good. Take too many. So we've covered the two main things, which is liability insurance and registering, and then there's a third like main rule, which is the fact that you have to know your environment, and this translates to basically just the fact that you're responsible for flying in an unrestricted area and that you're flying safe. So there's a rule that tells you to get familiar with the local area of flying. We have a lot of websites for this. I'll pop some of them up here. There's a lot of symbols, a lot of grayed out areas, and a lot of red areas, and that doesn't necessarily mean you can't fly there. It just means that there are certain restrictions tied to that place. And that's when this website, Naturbase, pops up, which then again tells you about that certain area. So when you find a restricted area or a grayed out area, you'll copy the information there into Naturbase, and you're able to read about it there. And even on that website, it's sometimes hard to understand if you can fly there. And there's something called manned aerial vehicle, and then there's a specific category for drone, which is unmanned aerial vehicle. So you have to differentiate between those, because some places doesn't allow helicopters to land and fly over, but drones are allowed. So this is something you'll have to research yourself because I won't help you. But that's basically the third rule. Okay, so we've done the 3 rules that are specific to Norway. I'm not sure, but at least the next one you're going to see here is basically like everything else throughout Europe. So we can start by the thing you might be wondering about the most, which is, can you fly close to people? If your drone is under 250 grams, which it is because you're watching this video, yes, you can, but you are to avoid flying over people and you are not to fly over crowded places. So no events, no busy city centers, and if there's people, you're not to plan to fly over them. It's only if it's strictly necessary. So it's a bit of a gray area, but you are allowed to fly over people. Then it's keeping or not flying any higher than 120 meters over the ground or the nearest fixed point, which means you can stay on the cliff and fly 120 meters out or diagonally up in the air and have 1,000 meters under you, but it has to be, you get it right? You'll have to keep 5 kilometers from airports, which there are a few of through especially the south of Norway and the coast. So you'll have to be careful about that. You'll have to, or you can't fly over prisons, and you can't fly over active emergency sites, which means a collision or a search party or anything emergency related really. From July 2022, it will be required to have a green blinking light on your drone if you're flying at night. You are allowed to fly at night, but you have to keep the drone without visual line of sight, which isn't very far without some kind of light. And the green blinking light is also for people to identify you as a drone at night. Then you'll have to be at least 16 years old or part of a modeling flying hobby group of some sort. And if you're flying with an FPV drone or using your screen a lot while flying, you'll have or be required to have a second observer to keep your drone within visual line of sight. So this mainly concerns FPV flyers, as you are required to be 2 people. If you're flying with a screen, it's sort of a gray area. Just land your drone if there's anyone with high-vis vests looking at you. Yeah. And you'll be fine. Second take. Okay, so I think that covers basically everything you need to fly a drone in Norway. As I said at the start, do your own research. This is just a general way of introducing you to our country. I'll leave links to every relevant website in the description. And if you have any questions, take them below and I might answer you. And thank you for watching. Yeah. Now this is my second take on this video, as my first one wasn't factually correct. I never posted it, so it doesn't really matter. And this is done more as a training exercise for my filmmaking skills, but I hope at least you got something out of it. If there's something wrong or I haven't really even gotten right, then correct me in the comment section and I'll highlight it. And I guess thank me for giving you this information, and thank you.